Hello everyone, my name is Lolita, and in this video, I will explain how to analyze the correlation between learning motivation and growth mindset using SPSS. Okay, in this tutorial, you need to know what is correlation analysis. So correlation analysis is used to determine whether there is a significant relationship between two variables. And I got the research question. Is there any significant correlation between learning motivation and growth mindset? Before continue, you need to know the hypothesis. In here, I got two hypotheses. They are the first one, the null hypothesis, which is there is no significant correlation between learning motivation and growth mindset. While the second hypothesis is alternative hypothesis. There is a significant correlation between learning motivation and growth mindset. Okay, let's begin to the analysis. Please, the first thing you need to open your SPSS. And then you can put your data or the variable in here. Put two variable or four. It's up to you. And then you need to click variable view. And then you need to rename your data. Here you put the name. And then you can also put the label in here. I put learning motivation and then growth mindset. And also you need to change the measure into scale. Okay, after like this, you need to check whether the data are normally distributed or not. So if you have the data in here, and then you have to check. The things that you need to do is click Analyze, and then click Descriptive Statistic, and then click Explore. Okay, and here you can put both of the variable into dependent list. You don't need to put the factor list. And then click Plot. And then click histogram and normality plot with plus. And then click OK. Okay. Okay, in here, I got the test of normality of Kolmogorov-Smirnov and Shapiro-Wilk. You can see that both of them are the data, both of them are normally distributed, right? And then you can see the Shapiro-Wilk in here. The significant value for learning motivation is 0.284. And then the growth mindset for Shapiro-Wilk is 0.220. Okay, since the both significant value are greater than 0.05, both variables are normally distributed. Therefore, the normality assumption is satisfied, and we can continue to the next step. Okay, the next step, we can check the histogram. You can check the histogram. You can examine. To do that, you need to double click the histogram, and then you can click this one, show distribution curve, and then click, and then you need to choose normal. then apply here, and then do it also in the second histogram. So the histogram shows that the data approximately follow a normal distribution, which support the normality test result. Next, we need to determine whether the relationship between the variable is linear. To do that, you need to click Analyze, and then Compare Means, and then click Means. And then you can put maybe I can reset it first. You can put the learning motivation into the independent and then dependent. And then you can click Option, and then click the test for linearity. Click Continue and OK. Okay, now we focus on the ANOVA table. So there are two important rows. The first one is deviation from linearity, which the significant value is 0.761. Since the 0.761 is greater than 0.05, so there is no significant deviation from linearity. This means the data do not deviate from a linear pattern. Next, look at the linearity. The significant value is 0.580. So since the 0.580 is greater than 0.05, the linear relationship is not statistically significant. According to the rules, Pearson correlation cannot be used because the linearity assumption is not fully met. Therefore, I will continue using the Spearman correlation. But before performing the correlation test, we can visualize the relationship using a scatter plot. To do that, you need to click Graph and then Legacy dialog, and then click Scatter or Dot. Okay, and then in here, you can click Simple Scatter. And then for the learning motivation, we can put it on the X and then grow into the Y. And then click OK. Here, the scatter plot will appear in here. Okay, double click this graph to activate. Okay, click this one, fit line at total. And then click the linear. And then you can click apply. And then close the chart. Okay, from the scatter plot, the data points are widely scattered and do not form a clear linear pattern. And then this indicates that the relationship between learning motivation and growth mindset is very weak. So overall, the scatter plot suggests that there is almost no linear relationship between the two variables. And then the next step we can do, since the assumption for Pearson correlation are not fully satisfied, I will use Spearman correlation. You can use it also. To do that, you need to click Analyze, Correlate, and then you click Deviate. Okay, to do this, you need to put both of the variable into the variable box. And then click Spearman. And then you need to check also the flag significant correlation. And make sure you click that. And then click OK. All right, in here, Now we got the Spearman correlation result. They are the significant value in here for the learning motivation and growth mindset. And then this one for the Pearson correlation. And here the significant value. Okay, the Spearman correlation coefficient is 0.011. This value is very close to 0, so it can indicating a very weak positive relationship between learning motivation and growth mindset. And then next, the significant value is this one is 0.906. Since the 0.906 is greater than 0.05, the correlation is not statistically significant. This means that there is no significant correlation between learning motivation and growth mindset. Therefore, we fail to reject the null hypothesis and conclude that the relationship between these two variables is not statistically significant. And although the correlation coefficient is positive, its value is still extremely small. So the significant value is also much greater than the significant level of 0.05, suggesting that the observed relationship may simply be due to random variation rather than a meaningful association. So at last, both variables are normally distributed based on the test of normality, and however, the linearity test does not meet all the assumptions required for Pearson correlation. Therefore, you can still use the Spearman correlation test. And then the results show a Spearman correlation coefficient of 0.011 with a significant value of 0.906. Since the significant value is greater than 0.05, there is no statistically significant correlation between learning motivation and growth mindset. So that's all the analysis that I can explain. Thank you for watching and thank you for the attention. Bye-bye.